You're listening to Win-Win, an entrepreneurial community with your host, Ben Wolf.
And welcome to the Win-Win podcast. This is Ben Wolf, as always, your host. And I am happy to welcome Walt Brown, an expert EOS implementer. He has, I think, done over 1,500 or about 1,500 sessions with almost 200 clients over his career. He's
1,400 sessions, 188 clients.
188 clients, 1,400 sessions. Thank you. Tremendous number compared to, anybody else out there. And just grateful to, again, have Walt as a returning guest on the podcast. He has written a number of books as well. Through all those reps, through all those sessions, obviously he's learning things. He's seeing patterns, coming up with tools to address those patterns, to address those needs that he's seeing. And one of those books is the forthcoming book, Attract or Repel, 7 Keys to Magnetize Your Company and Build the Culture of Your Dreams. Pictured for those of you on video that Walt was holding just now. And so we're going to talk about the book. We're going to talk about what it means to belong and have a culture, what it means to define roles so that people feel happy and feel clear, know how to succeed. And so we're going to talk about all of that and more. Welcome, Walt. Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me back, Ben. Great seeing you again. I remember when we first sort of met, it was a little bit contentious. You were doing, you're still doing a lot of integrator type stuff. And I think we met at the conference like 4 years ago and had kind of an awkward meeting. And since then, we've grown to be good friends and actually talk on the phone outside of these podcasts, guys. So
I mean, I'm still in the integrator space. We've got Wolf Sedge, and we had some interesting conversations because there's a perception among some, and in some cases it's probably warranted, that there's a competition or that exists or that could exist between fractional integrators and EOS implementers. So I think that's a great topic for discussion to kind of clear the air sometimes.
Well, as implementers, what we're trying to do is make sure we have the right people in the right seats, and very often those best seats are filled by fractional folks. So good.
Sometimes I have a client now, an insurance brokerage, and I've put at least 2, other than not even counting myself as fractional integrator. I mean, counting myself, we put in 3 fractional executives in. I mean, it's just just sometimes it's just a fast track to the most qualified person to get things moving faster. Usually not forever. In some cases it is, especially on CFO and things like that. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked on fractional. But
we'll probably circle back to that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it comes into some of the stuff that you speak about as well. But talk about these 7 keys: attract or repel. I know it's coming out in a couple months. To magnetize your company, build the culture of your dreams. This keys into the topic that we spoke about on the last time you were on this show, which was the 7 keys to belonging, or like the 7 keys of what it means, culture in a business.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through again? What are those 7 parts? And let's talk about belonging after that. But we go. What are those 7 parts again?
We can dive through it really quickly. So these were discovered back in like 2014 through some focus groups with millennials, back when everybody was complaining about millennials, and I didn't see it. I was like, I don't see that going on with the clients I'm working with. So we did a bunch of focus work, and what came out were there were 7 critical needs that need to be met when you're running a company. So your employees have these 7 critical needs that you need to meet in order for them to feel like they're bought in and feel included and have high levels of trust and engagement, what we call BITE. It's pretty basic, straightforward. The need to belong, the need to believe, the need to be accountable, the need to be measured, the need to be heard, the need to be developed, and the need to be balanced. And it's up to the organization to basically define all of those things. And then once you create what it looks like to belong and believe and be accountable, measured, heard, developed, and balanced in your company, then you offer that to people who come in to attract them, or you use the same critical need definitions to repel people. But that's why the book's called Attract and Repel. And so work on.
Well, it's probably important to mention that people can find out more about this. Is that waltbrown.co? Is that where people can?
WaltBrown.co or bite7.com is the website, bite7.com. So,
Okay,
or
so
Walt Brown.
specifically on those 7 elements, bite7.com,
Yeah.
or waltbrown.co. So we'll probably
Yeah.
we'll try to reference that later on as well.
It's fine.
There's a lot of aspects of this, obviously, that we can dive into. You know, it would take more time than what we have available
Yeah.
today. But going first into, let's talk about that belong one. What does it
Right.
mean for a member of my team to feel like they belong? And as a follow-up question, if you could also talk about after that, how do I know when somebody doesn't belong, right? It's not just because of what I'm doing or what I'm failing to do as a
Yeah.
leader, but maybe they don't belong.
Right.
And how do I know the difference when it's one versus, when it's because of my failure to set up the environment where people can feel like they belong, or versus where people actually don't belong.
Yeah.
So how do I, what does it mean to belong, and how do I tell the difference of, like, what's the cause if that's not there?
Right. So each piece sort of overlaps a little bit, but we're defining, if you're a company, you're defining what it means to belong, you're getting just dead on, clear, straight about what the core values are. What are our behaviors? And then those turn into, if you think about, like, you're interviewing somebody and you're saying, this is who we're going to surround you with, these types of people who have these core values. And when you come here, if you have them, it's going to feel great. If you don't have them, it's going to be hell on earth, and this company is going to spit you out. So it's just getting up front, super clear on, we're hiring and firing and rewarding through core values is one part of the do I belong question. The other side is clarity around what the skills are that are required for them to fill their roles. So if you go into an organization and you have the same, like, attitudes and behaviors, yeah, I belong on that side. And then when you're able to contribute and add value, then through your skills, then you have comfort that you belong. This is all about creating high levels of comfort, psychological safety, trust. That's like the first piece. And then the second one, I just have to go there, is believe. And it's where you're believing in the products, the why, the services, the strategic direction, leadership, your teammates. And do I freaking believe in where this organization is going? And we're being super clear. This is what we believe in. This is where we're going. And if you want to be part of this, join us. If at some point during the period where you've joined us and then you no longer believe, then we don't want to hold you back. Maybe there's a better place for you to go. Does that make sense? So belong and believe go super tight together.
Right. So what it sounds like is that the owner, the leaders, have to first clarify and be able to clearly articulate what their core values are, what the roles are, and what they believe in and where we're going, in
Yeah.
order, and then actually communicate that, and probably communicate that repeatedly,
Yeah.
in order to have people on a team be able to know, like, otherwise they don't know what they believe. I'm just doing my checklist of tasks every day. We never talk about it.
Yeah.
You have to, like, talk about it. You have to clarify it in
Yeah.
order to be able to, in order to be able to filter or know whether team members do or don't belong.
Yeah. And then always asking them, like, hey, this is something we're doing for you, not to you. Creating this one single place where, what it means to belong and believe. And as long as you can buy into those things, and also, but we don't want to hold you back, because you get somebody who's unhappy that they're unaligned to what it means to belong or believe. They can be pretty disruptive. But that's a whole nother subject around engagement and stuff. But we're measuring, these are the first two cornerstones of engagement and trust: belong and believe.
Now, one of the aspects, so you spoke about two main elements of what it means to belong, and those are, to put it one way, GWC, or like their
Yep.
ability to do their roles effectively and consistently, get it wanted in capacity, and as being a right person, or like being a core values fit and being aligned on mission and belief.
Yeah.
And so going to those first one of those that I mentioned just now about the roles. Tell me about that. Tell me about that. I mean, I got part of where you live, just because of the sheer number of sessions and reps that you've done with your clients. So you see not only how people put the EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system tools into effect, but if people and companies who've been doing it for many years and now they want to get deeper, they want to do better, they want to take it up a level from wherever they were before, because we can all grow, right? Even
Yeah.
if we're doing the basics. So, um, so you develop tools in some of these areas where people can go deeper in terms of things. So everybody knows roles, right? There's seats on the accountability
Sort of.
chart. There's roles in those seats.
Yeah.
So
Sort of.
talk if you could talk more and deeper about roles and some. I know you have a cute phrase that you told me earlier before we started recording, but like tell me more about how we get clear on the roles aspect of this to know who belongs.
Yeah. So then, and off of roles come skills. So once you identify your roles, then you know what skills need to be there for the person to belong. You'll hear sometimes you hear it said, our friend Gino Wickman, all evil resides in the accountability chart. Unclear accountability or responsibility. And just having done 100 taught the accountability chart, hundreds of times and seen where it works or not. A lot of the confusion lays between people not using the right words, where in our world, a seat and a job and a position are all the same thing, and that's typically represented by a box on a. I'm trying to make the squarest box I can on an org chart. But then you go to an accountability chart, and what really makes that seat function are all the roles, and you can draw those roles as like circles. And so my saying is that companies roll on roles. They don't roll on seats. Squares don't roll very well. So it's kind of that idea. And then so understanding the roles, I draw this drawing of a dome top table, and hanging off the table are seats with roles underneath it. And I say the awareness piece is, here comes an issue. It drops on the dome top table and it's shaped like a ball. It's going to roll. And I point out that what's typically going on is this ball rolls to the corner of the table and drops, and it slips through the seats, and it slips through the rolls and hits the ground because no roll is aware of who held it. Or it drops down and it gets footballed back and forth between the rolls. It's not really getting caught between the seats, it's getting caught between the rolls. Or it rolls over through a seat and lands in a roll that has no capacity. It's full, and then it just drops over. Or it rolls through and lands in a seat and into a roll that has no get it. The person doesn't get it. And so teaching them, and then the other drawing I draw, and this might be, I'm a very visual person. You can find all this stuff on my site in a book coming out. If you think about like a self-integrating team or a really good team that's identifying, discussing, and solving issues, solving problems, they're around a round table and coming off of the seats and the rolls. And the way I draw it is coming off this table. Here's the seat, but between the seat and the table are their rolls. If you imagine, so you follow me there? So the rolls are really between person, seat, roll, table. And an issue lands on the table, and the people are looking through their seat, through their roll to the issue. So they're able to get a lot more granular perspective of whether that issue applies to them and not. So I have some exercises that I take clients through where they're getting it's kind of a fun exercise called flower power, but we're getting a full inventory of all the roles that are being played in a company in about 20 days. And once you have all the roles, then you can actually build your seat so tied to the roles and create clear structure. I'll stop there, but it's deep, but it's so powerful. And the clients go so much faster when there's clarity around the roles. Super clear clarity.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know that when I was hearing you describing all the ways that these tasks kind of fall between the cracks, or like between it's not
Yeah.
mentioned in any of the roles, and like it just ends up going to nobody and not getting done, or just the owner has to pick it up, and now here's a bunch of like random things the owner's doing
Right.
because they see no one else is doing it,
Yeah.
or that gets bounced, and like like a game of I don't know, whatever, hot potato, everybody trying to get it to
Yep.
somebody
Back and
else.
forth. Yep. All of that.
And you speak about these robust tools you developed and flower power, but can you share one tool or one like thought exercise that people can do to to address some of these situations where tasks are falling between the cracks between roles, or, going to people that are over capacity?
Yeah, I could go. It might take a little bit of time. It's flower power actually going through and getting it trademarked right now. I just sent the check off to the trademark guy like 2 weeks ago. But flower power, you're going to see it coming out. And so let's just say that we're thinking about hiring a new fractional person, a fractional
Okay.
marketing person, and that CEO, CFO, whatever. And we're thinking about this person, and we have the leadership team of maybe 5 people. And I'll say, okay, let's think about this fractional person that's going to come in. We'll name what the seat is. And on the whiteboard, we'll draw in a circle what the name of the seat is. And then I ask the team this. I want you to take 2 quiet minutes, and I want you to think about what this person is going to be doing when they show up. I want you to think about, lift up above it, look down at this seat, and I want you to make a list of everything that this person is going to be thinking about or doing every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year. Go granular. And you'll give them 2 minutes. And typically those 5 people will come up with 12 to 15 items in 15 minutes, in 2 minutes. And then I do a real-time sort on the board where I go and I ask each person for what they have, and I do a sort on the board. So you have this circle in the middle with word groupings. And then I go, now to pretend to be Bob Ross. And I'm going to turn this seat into a beautiful little flower, and I circle each one of the word groups and create this little petal deal. It looks like a flower. Then we name them, then we number them, and then we name them. And one of the games we play when they name them, if you got 6 people in the room, you break them into 2 groups of 3, and you have them think about those word groups that are in that numbered petal, and they have to come up with a serious name that's descriptive and a humorous name. And that breaks their mind to really look at it. And these 2 teams will come in, and then we do a bake-off where you put 4 columns. Team 1 has serious and funny. Team 2 has serious and funny. They stand up and basically choose which one they're going to use. And through this iteration, they're all getting on the same page of what the role looks like. And then you shove it in AI and you get back a purpose statement using all the words. So we're able to create full inventory, named and purpose statements of roles in about 45 minutes for every seat.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, and I imagine you could do that with every role, just one by
Yeah.
one.
That's what so they go out of the focus day. My clients go out of the focus day, and the service manager goes and meets with his 8 techs, and they all do it together. So they're all creating these roles together.
What's the reason for the humorous name? Why did you make that part of it?
Because it pulls, because when you're laughing and having fun, you're more creative and productive. And so, and by breaking them out of like the serious mindset, they come up with funny names. Sometimes they're kind of crude, but a lot of times they'll glob onto a movie or a TV show, and they'll name the different characters. And so it allows them to like visualize in a more abstract understanding of what the role really is. That's like the one thing I just demand they do not skip is the serious and funny. Now,
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Why? Well, can you share an example, real or made up?
Think about it like
a role of like a seat and what the roles ended up being under this exercise.
I can't remember them all, but like Wolf of Wall Street, Tin Man, it'll like Money Grabber. I mean, Money Grubber. It'll be all sorts of clearly the county for the most funny.
For the AR department.
Knee Cracker is like accounts receivable, stuff like that. And I can't. There's so many great ones. I just can't. And they'll be hooting and hollering and having a great time being in something that's super serious.
I could see the creativity that can come from that. And do they often end up in the actual accountability chart using some of the funny names?
Sometimes. And like a lot of times they will. It depends. I mean, you got to have it where anyone can see the role name and understand what it is, so it doesn't vary all percentage. But we leave words off like manager. We don't say the accounts payable manager. We might say accounts payable administration, something like that. That's a better
function
term of the function of the role.
Right, not a title, but a function.
And then the functions via the roles attached to the seat, which is more of the title. It's powerful.
Now, No, that's super neat. Again, waltbrown.co can find out more about these tools, get in touch with Walt, learn about these things and learn about flower power. I imagine it would be, it takes skilled facilitation. It's hard to, hopefully people can listen to
Yeah.
the podcast here and figure out how to do it.
I'll show
But
you
I would
what it ends up
imagine
looking like.
sometimes, what's
You want to
that?
see what it looks like? That's what a flower power looks like.
Okay, I don't know if you can blow that up a little bit. And so for those watching the video, or for those not watching the video, Walt is sharing a a visual depiction of a visual depiction of one of these flowers that was came up with during a facilitation session. You just
Yep.
like talk about one or two key elements of what people are seeing on the screen, especially with it, having in mind people who don't have the video.
Okay, so the video it's this graphic representation of a seat called Director of Operations. It's held by Cheryl Lynch, and around it is the flower. And there are in this situation there are 10 different roles, and one of the roles that's highlighted is number one called leadership training. And when you click on it, it shows that the purpose statement of leadership training is blank. And then it talks about the role descriptors. And then it has in there whether these are responsibilities or whether these are task procedures. Uh, it's just sort of this is how it all gets captured eventually. This might have been a little bit of a tangent here, uh,
No,
Ben,
I
but
mean it's so this is a tool. Is this tool available to people? Because
it's in December, comes out in December. Because one of the big issues is just how do you capture this beautiful facilitation on the whiteboard outside of spreadsheets? So there's software that's written where you're doing this real time. So you would be sitting around with your text and they would get a link to their phone to answer the question of every second, every minute they would type it in. And then you would
oh,
real time do all this work and it breaks into the teams and you name them and it does all of that like automation so that the facilitation goes super quick and then it's captured as you move through it.
oh, that is so neat. And look, by the time this comes out, it may be already December 2024. Not sure, um, but that's
Yeah.
but the people be able to find out information about that at waltbrown.co?
Yeah. That's like my group of companies place. So
Right.
yeah.
So anything in the Walt Brown verse that people can find in through there through that
One,
portal.
the crazy professor, everything's there,
Right.
so
Just all
but it
thrown
all
in,
fits together,
thrown in the
it all
bucket.
fits together. It's all trying to honor the folks and get rid of confusion and dysfunction. So, and where a lot of that work came from was question number three, which I understand and embrace what I'm accountable for, which means, I understand my seats, I understand my roles and how they align to the belief that you're being asked to believe in. And just, there was just a lot of, the accountability chart in its basic form just doesn't go deep enough for a lot of clients. So you had to
Hmm.
go.
Well, you mentioned belief again for a second, so I just want to go back to that for a second, and talk more about how. And you talked about it a little bit before, but how can somebody, sometimes people are just so focused on the day to day.
Yeah.
How can somebody get a better at getting aligned on believe? That second one of those seven
Yeah.
elements. How
Well,
how can we get better at believe? Having
thanks
people
for
who
asking.
believe in what we're doing.
Thanks for asking this question because I'm going to answer it through a little bit of a sideways door. Lately, I spend a lot of time in the world of graph databases and schemas and ontologies, y'all, like super nerd world. And so trying to bring all that back. When we're talking about uh, AI, so we have artificial intelligence. Let me do it. Artificial intelligence over here, and we have human intelligence over here. And in the middle, we need some kind of overlap so that allows us to be able to train these two intelligences. We're training humans and we're training artificial intelligence. So let's just talk about the human real quick. And I'm going to use an EOS tool. Who all's familiar with the VTO, Vision Traction Organizer? There's 8/7 questions that we answer in the VTO. And so if you think about, and this is like helping people really understand what you're asking them to believe in. That's what I'm drawing here. so you think about these 7 questions, and we have these 7 flat, round, circular lenses. One of the lenses is our core values. One of our lenses is our purpose, cause, and passion, our core focus and our niche. One of our lenses is our 10-year target. One of our lenses is our marketing strategy, where we're going to send everyone through that lens. One of our lenses, running out of room on the screen, is a 3-year picture. One is the 1-year plan with the critical success factors. 1 year of the rocks. One item is the rocks, and one is the long-term issues list, things that we're agreeing not to work on. And so here you got all those things laid out, like all laid out. And if you take them and you turn them on their side, and then you go like this and you look through it like a telescope, all those lenses have to line up. You're looking through so the employee is looking through the core values, looking through the core focus, looking through the 10-year target, looking through the marketing strategy, 3-year picture, 1-year plan, rocks, issues list, and they can clearly see where you're going. All that technical term shit lines up. And that's what you're asking them to believe in. Do you believe in our core values? Do you believe in our core focus? Do you believe in where we're going to be in 10 years? Do you believe in these are the best customers to go after? Do you believe this is what the 3 years is going to look like? Do you believe these are our priorities for the next year and for the next 90 days, and that we're not paying attention to these things over here? Can you see where we're going? Can you believe in that plan? That's basically.
Yeah, no, that's so powerful and so true. I was thinking about it recently that if you have a passion, then that passion, it should be the people who are exhibiting the behaviors regularly as outlined in the core values are going to be people who resonate with a passion like that.
Yeah.
And that passion, your 10-year target is not your 10-year target if it doesn't tie into that passion. If it's not something that has to do with, if it's just get to 500 million, right? Well, what does that have to do? Right. Maybe it does. I mean, if our passion is, kind of like building a giant company, maybe that's our passion. Maybe that's our motivating thing. But if it's something different, then just a growth goal 10 years from now, it doesn't so if you would look through them all sideways, as you said, they wouldn't line up. They would just be 2 totally different, unrelated elements.
It's kind of over here. Everything else is lining up, and that thing sits over here. And, it's like, well, we don't have it in. We got to bring it in so it's all in focus. Yeah. I'm working on that graphic in my mind.
No, it's a great point. It actually reminds me, we recently had Veterans Day, and I saw a picture recently of a memorial that had 7 slabs lined up, and each one had a hole in it. I don't know if you saw this. You've seen this picture? And then each one had a hole in it, all at different heights. And based on the solar calendar, on November 11th of every year, the way the sun is lined up at 11:11 a.m., all of the sun will go through all of those holes in a straight line and hit, kind of an emblem of the United States. That's on the ground nearby. And
laser
it's like
focus. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Getting them all aligned at the right time, in the right moment. Yeah. And people who want to believe in a mission like that, they get aligned. They put a lot of power behind it.
Yeah. And people who don't, they're going to feel like a round peg in a square hole.
Bingo.
Attract or repel.
Yeah. And they need to go, and then there's other people out there who are looking for that clarity, so you attract them by just doing that. It's not hard work. It's just time work. Get it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And it's fun if you can make time for it. I mean, it's hard, but it's fun. It's, again, we're out of time, but attract or repel, 7 keys to magnetize your company and build the culture of your dreams. Check out waltbrown.co. Talk about building culture, tools for getting roles, which is one piece of that element of getting a culture where people belong and they're part of it. And you have an awesome culture that's fun to be in, doing something big together.
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about.
We appreciate it, Walt. Thank you for making the time to do this conversation.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for everybody listening. Reach out. Glad to help.
Yeah, please reach out to Walt. He's got his, for those on video, he's got his email behind you, but waltbrown.co. Attract or repel coming out in a few months. 7 keys to magnetize your company, build the culture of your dreams. Thank you for making the time to do this. What's that?
Published by Ben Bella, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a great publisher. Obviously, the publishers of all the official EOS books now.
Yeah.
So So yeah, appreciate you coming out here, and everybody else. Appreciate you making the time to listen or watch, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
You're listening to Win Win, an entrepreneurial community with your host, Ben Wolf.